Good evening, everybody. Today's December 12th, 2010. I've been wondering if I should continue to put videos on this channel in regards to UFOs and such. I did a video in the beginning of October about Stanley Fulham, who's a retired NORAD officer, who predicted that we'd see UFOs on October 13th. And his prediction came true. There was a sighting in New York. Thousands of people saw a bunch of unidentified flying objects in the sky that later on turned out to be balloons, according to one source. But also on that day, there were other UFOs filmed in different cities, Moscow, and in that week, there were all over the world, there were postings of amateur videos of UFOs, like these look like spheres. Sometimes three of them or a bunch of them just moving around, kind of changing colors and stuff. Some really odd stuff. And I documented it on a blog I started called thinkingaboutufos.blogspot.com. And there's like 15 different videos, and they're pretty amazing. If you take the time to look at them. And they're popping up every day. Every day people are filming this stuff. So, I wanted this to be a financial channel and talk about gold and silver, economy, mix in a little politics. But I can't help but cover this because, he predicted it in his book that he wrote. And I think in the book it also has the date, October 13th. And there was a mass sighting in New York. And so I'm going to go ahead and continue with this. There is a connection between UFOs and aliens and gold and silver that I talk about. This may blow away some Christians and some other people of other beliefs. And I was brought up Catholic, and I do believe in Jesus Christ. But this here stuff, I can't just throw this stuff aside because this is history. And it's said that the human race was created in order to mine for gold. That's why humans were created. And that comes from a Sumerian culture that lived 6,000 years ago. We're talking 3,000 years before the Egyptians, way back in and around where modern day Iraq is now. You had the Sumerians. And there's a guy named Zecharia Sitchin who just passed away a couple of months ago at 90 years old. He was one of the only people who could decipher this, the language that they had then. And they put a lot of their information onto these little scrolls. And you roll them out and then you can read them. And I have an example of one here. That's a scroll from about 4,000 years ago. The reason why it's important is because the little solar system they have there shows 10 planets. And that 10th planet is something that Zecharia Sitchin has done a lot of research, written a book on that's entitled The 10th Planet. And that 10th planet is supposed to be the planet with the the beings from another planet that came here and they were in search of gold for their planet. They needed gold for their planet, so they were mining gold here for thousands of years. And then they took the apes that were running around here like Neanderthals and did a little bit of genetic engineering on them, and they created Homo sapiens. Now this flies in the face of anything most people have ever, the common day have ever learned, the Bible and things like that. But the Bible talks about flying machines, and there's a lot of discussions throughout the cultures of the world of, especially like in India. If you go to India and talk about UFOs, or aliens and things flying, that doesn't bother those people. That's in their culture. It's always, been something known by all the people. That's just the way it is. There were UFOs flying around thousands of years ago. Here's one more of the cylinder seals. This is from about 4,500 years ago. And you could just use your imagination what they were trying to depict. I just can't imagine that these people were drawing things and were writing things that was just make-believe or folklore and hallucinations or just myth. Why would they be documenting myth? I don't understand why these people would be documenting myth. That's why I can't just throw this stuff aside. That's why I research it. It makes no sense to me for them to document things that are mythical to pass on to future generations. To me, these were things that they saw. They saw these things, so they drew it on the wall. Or they wrote about these things. I mean, that's the history. I don't know. It's just funny how that stuff was lost, and there's evidence all around the planet of aliens or flying saucers or just things flying around that way before flight. I mean, there's just evidence all over the planet. There's drawings of guys with helmets, and just, on the History Channel they've had that ancient astronauts.